EliteLenny here reporting for duty, and I just gotta say, I never thought that the next thing I would actually be reacting to is something in relation to the critical drinker. One of the content creators responsible for actually making sure our expectations of movies and entertainment are curbed, which actually promotes a lot of skepticism for some movies and shows, especially if there are things questionable about its production, or maybe inspirations that actually make the entire premise of the show very questionable. At least that's what I understand about Critical Drinker, all right? That's just what I understand about about Critical Drinker. He actually does these things. He talked about Supergirl in one of his videos. He talks about, I think he talks about games, if I'm right. Hold on. Let me, just to make sure that I have my facts correct, because I want to make sure that I have the right information. So, here to deliver reviews, breakdowns, and analysis on modern entertainment media. So movies, games, TV shows, those things. The Drinker fixes Supergirl. How not to tank your movie. Crash and Burn. The Shia LaBeouf story. Super Mario Galaxy. Is it great or terrible? Will Supergirl be a super flop? The Drinker recommends Mr. In-Between. Ray? Mr. In-Between means Ray, right? The show? Harry Potter. Here we go again. Yeah, makes sure he leaves his opinion. He leaves reviews. He makes sure he does not hold back. That's the kind of person he is. And now we've come to this point in which there is this different thing that actually happened right now. Okay, Andy Weir, the author of Project Hail Mary, appeared on a podcast hosted by the Critical Drinker. During the discussion, they talked about modern Star Trek shows, including Star Trek, Starfleet Academy. Weir revealed he pitched a Star Trek show to Paramount, and it was rejected. And he criticized many modern Star Trek shows, bluntly saying some were bad. I don't know if that's retaliation for Weir's pitch being rejected, but let's just be real. The conversation, I have not seen the entire podcast, okay? Conversation may have gone on different directions, and I think at some point it blew up because people have noticed that Andy Weir is anti-Star Trek. That's what others have noticed. The Critical Drinker is already controversial for criticizing modern/woke media. So when Andy Weir appeared there and agreed with some criticisms, people online took it as, and I quote, Project Hail Mary creator sides with anti-Star Trek crowd. And then clips got taken out of context and amplified, and then there's a Twitter rage. There is a Twitter rage eventually that actually happened. The podcast also touched on the situation around Starfleet Academy, which had mixed reception and cancellation discussions, because it only ended up to season 2, and they're not going to produce more seasons anymore. So Critical Drinker mocked it, and then Andy Weir joined in casually. That made it seem like he was attacking the show and its creators directly. And now what happened after that? What happened was Weir publicly apologized because of public backlash. He said that he was trying to be funny or blunt. His comments came off as disrespectful and mean. Now, there wasn't some behind-the-scenes conversation between creators. It was a podcast that made blunt comments, it produced internet outrage, and it led to an apology. If anything, the real story is how one edgy podcast appearance spiraled into a fandom war. Now, this video that we're going to be watching from Endymion is titled, The Critical Drinker Must Be Destroyed. Is it simply because he hosted Andy Weir or something like that? Because this video has been around for 2 days ago. Now, I don't know what this video is about, but if it is what it really is about, between Project Hail Mary and the creator of Project Hail Mary being an anti-Star Trek guy, basically, it makes sense. So, yeah, see what this is about, because, oh my god, we have to know how is this going to turn out.
There's a reason Hollywood absolutely hates someone like the Critical Drinker. Not because he's irrelevant or wrong, but actually because the guy has kind of right for far too long. For
yes.
years now, the Critical Drinker has been trying to warn the general movie-going audience about the slow decay of modern entertainment. Hell, I've done the same, as many others have too. We all notice it, right? The writing has been getting worse, the characters are becoming shallow, and storytelling is getting replaced with ideological messaging and social construct nonsense all the time. Also, footage-wise in this video, nothing really makes sense, so just consider the footage here as filler as I speak. Cool? Anyways, the fact we used to get great movies all the time, alongside movies and more that didn't talk down to us, kind of sort of alien these days. Because there's always something trying to preach against you to some capacity, but the reaction from the entertainment media types and the websites and other critics and then some is to not listen to the Critical Drinker or others like him, but instead to smear them, dismiss him even, or just flat out pretend like someone like him doesn't even exist.
Let's just be absolutely real about this. Okay, I am just betting. Okay, I have not followed the Critical Drinker from his beginnings. Okay, I have not followed him. I don't know him entirely, but I believe that in these types of times when he was still unknown and he was still mocked and he was being pushed away because he critiques about different things in entertainment media, I believe that at first he was a major skeptic of everything. But if you are always providing a perspective from the outside lens of the typical moviegoer, it definitely deserves credit. You definitely deserve that credit because, let's be real, all perspectives actually make sense. This is why slowly people have been eventually been following and subscribing to his views about entertainment, different types of media at all, movies, games, TV shows. Basically, Hollywood is turning old titles to shit.
Never works though, does it? Because the more a website attacks you or tries to smear you, the more they accidentally prove why the entire point of someone like a drinker or anyone who critiques pop culture is actually needed these days. And this all reached a fever point recently due to a controversy surrounding Drinker and an author named Andy Weir. So if you don't,
It is about this. Okay.
Andy Weir wrote Project Hail Mary. Yeah, movie that just came out. It's doing numbers in case you don't know. Anyways, Andy Weir was on Drinker's channel where they talked Project Hail Mary, in the absolute state of Hollywood. And at one point, Andy Weir spoke to the Drinker about things like modern day Star Trek and how, in Andy's opinion, Star Trek is now terrible. Which, yes, I agree. It's not even really a hot take because it is. Modern day Star Trek is like a lot of things that push the same sort of progressive nonsense in their storytelling. It's loathed just universally pretty much. And these sorts of shows or projects do not have large audiences for a reason. As Geeks and Gamers showed here, as you can see. Apparently, the new Starfleet Academy show, which will end with season 2, probably because it has the contract for 2 seasons, otherwise it wouldn't have reached there, is only getting about 40,000 views an episode.
That's terrible. Oh my god, that is terrible. Yo, that's not many. Yeah, not good. That is not a good number. 40,000 views? Oh no, that's not good. It's supposed to be the pride and joy of Paramount, the Star Trek series, but no, what is happening?
Oh, that is abysmal for a TV show. That means that a single video of like mine gets more views than an entire network television show about a legacy science fiction franchise, if you can believe it. And I can assure you that Starfleet Academy costs way more to produce than a single YouTube video as well. This is, yeah, bad. The only reason the show still exists is because, like I said, it's probably in their contract that they have to make.
Holy shit, dude.
Paramount is losing millions of dollars on yet another Alex Kurtzman Star Trek project that is resonating with nobody. Go figure, for like the 10th time already. So Star Trek Performance is a lot like Dragon Age the Veilguard of TV shows, pretty much, right? Its audience is small, and these sorts of things only exist for one reason, to pander. That's literally all it ever is for. We've seen it in games too. Far too many are pushing
It panders to the peoples who like diversity way too much, to the point that they would also want to ruin the way the lore is written. That's absolutely I do not like. If you're writing a movie, if you're producing a movie, if you're producing a TV show, you're producing a game, if you're manufacturing or making a game, do not change the way the normal flow of the story goes to reflect messaging, social messaging. Otherwise, just ruins the entire thing.
Aggressive nonsense over just telling a good story. It's no wonder why the games that don't pander tend to sell the best, and ironically, those sorts of games also usually review better too, which might tell you something. Remind me again what Claire Obscure Expedition 33's Metacritic score was and how many awards it won. Oh, what's that? It didn't pander at all? Not even once. Well, imagine that. Anyways, like I said, naturally, because Andy Weir, the author of Project Hail Mary, spoke to the Critical Drinker publicly, this now means that Drinker, he has to be destroyed, and Andy Weir by association too. As this one tweet from a progressive type would say, that disappointing moment when you find out the author of one of your favorite books uses generative AI, is against real-world commentary, politics, and fiction, and deeply misunderstands Star Trek.
Is against real-world commentary / politics and fiction and deeply misunderstands Star Trek. I don't know how to react to this. Okay, just be real. I am uncomfortable with putting real-world commentary / politics at all in fiction. I am very uncomfortable with it. Definitely no. You're not going to ask me twice. I am against it. I haven't read Project Hail Mary. I haven't watched the movie either. But now maybe I should.
So didn't you just say that one of your favorite books and authors, which is Project Hail Mary and Andy Weir, is now bad because the author doesn't pander to the modern audience? Again, you said that it's one of your favorite books. So let me get this straight. You like real-world commentary, political jargon in your media, but your favorite book is in fact a story where none of that political nonsense is in it, and you're mad about this now. Doesn't the existence of Hail Mary as a book, being your favorite immediately by your own words, disavow your own critiques of Andy Weir because by definition what he believes and what he does, which is not to alienate the audience, means
exactly
that he makes good books that you clearly like as well? You see what I mean? Like, people are just low IQ. There's no other way to say it. This is like saying, wow, I love this meal from the steakhouse. It's so good. Too bad the shit.
I wish that these types of people actually just discuss things more before they post on social media. They discuss things more with everyone else instead of just posting entirely to social media and be treated like a real idiot. Because let's just be real, you don't want to be treated like an idiot.
Jeff isn't a vegan like me, but wow, this steak is so good. Like, what are you talking about? Doesn't make any sense.
Who are you talking to?
You're nulling your own argument with your own opinion. Like, these people read what they say before they even hit send? I don't think so. Anyway, this is what Andy Weir said in the excerpt that this moronic fan of his...
Maybe it would be best if they try to watch the entire podcast first if there is something that they're missing. Instead of just immaturely posting on social media. This is what I don't like about these things. Their favorite authors say something, they gotta check if their author is saying something that is against the context of why they even make works of art at all. And maybe it makes sense to hate on the author, but they got to look at the context and they've got to understand why that view is justified, why that opinion is justified. And it is going to be a waste of your time entirely to dump the entire work of a book just because of what the author says about another franchise. It is a waste of time.
Posted, as it reads here. I dislike social commentary, like really hate it. When I'm reading a book, I just want to be entertained, not preached at by the author.
And that is how it's supposed to be enjoyed. I don't understand why modern commentary and politics have to be inserted into shows. I don't understand the point of that.
Plus, it ruins the wonder of the story if I know the author has a political or social axe to grind. I no longer speculate about all possible outcomes of the story because I know for a fact that the universe of that book will conspire to ensure that the author's political agenda is validated. I hate that, Andy Weir said. I put no politics or social commentary into my stories at all. Anyone who thinks they see something like that is reading it on their own. I have no point to make, and I'm not trying to affect the reader's opinion on anything. My sole job is to entertain, and I stick to that. And that's a really good way of making stories. It's almost as if that has worked for like decades since the dawn of...
It has worked for a long time. And people don't like to follow, or people just like to abandon this because they want to put the realism into it. Here's the problem with that. Not every reader, not every audience member appreciates that kind of move. Not everyone appreciates that kind of move that they want to see real-world commentary or fiction inserted. Because nobody likes... Okay, in reading and in watching films, nobody likes to overthink it unless, okay, you are an intellectual required to see some sort of perspective within the work, okay? Maybe there is supposed to be conversation with the author to actually get clarification. See, the intellectuals who are supposedly understanding of this very closely are the ones who are probably closest to the author, okay? So, you come to an understanding, and you shouldn't be a wise ass when it comes to explaining your understanding of how the context is, okay? You can enjoy stuff. If people are there to actually entertain, you stick with that belief, you stick with their beliefs, and you'll do fine. Otherwise, you're just wasting your energy trying to bitch up.
modern entertainment or something. Sure, I know that things can pull from the real world, obviously. Star Wars, for example, pulls from World War II, with the iconography of, like, German allied forces with the Empire versus the Rebellion. I get that, as well as the whole Vietnam War as well. But these days, the delusion that ramps reality from these industry types has turned everything that we know and love pretty much into total disasters. Star Wars is mostly cooked. Marvel is starting to course correct, at least somewhat movie-wise, after so many failed flops and storylines ruined by, like, female nonsense, not to mention every other week. It seems like DC Comics is just gonna make another, another direction, if you catch my drift, to make this character, this gender or identity or whatever. And then companies Obsidian all the time to keep ruining their core franchises to a piece of nobody but Kotaku much. Andy Weir would further his stance of Star Trek, where he said this: for instance, as a lifelong Star Trek fan, it's always bothered me that there is a presumed responsibility within Star Trek shows to talk about social issues, the writer added. I just want to watch Romulans and the Federation shoot at each other. Yeah, he wants good entertainment, but that isn't enough now, is it? So Project Hail Mary, as seen here, is projected to earn somewhere near $700 million when it's all said and done, which is...
People enjoy stuff because they like to see where the entertainment is. This is why films and TV shows succeed, all right? This is why they succeed. If you'll excuse me. Okay, where was I?
very high for an original science fiction movie, especially these days. And as Drinker said, they're amazing what can happen when you produce good movies. Yeah, exactly. But you see, naturally, because someone like a Drinker exists, or even an erotic, anyone really that does this, like, this is bad news now. Because these people can't really exist, right? They have to be destroyed. Even to be associated with them is effectively career deletion even. And the heat got so hot for Andy Weir for, like, speaking with Critical Drinker that, as Deadline reported here, as you can see, Andy openly then apologized to Alex Kurtzman and modern Star Trek fans over his remarks on the Drinker show. Yes, Andy bent the knee to the mob because the...
This isn't unnecessary. Seriously, just because of backlash, just because of hate. Seriously, it's just... Oh my god. Weir, you've got to stop acting like a bitch, for Pete's sake. If you gave people something good to actually read, something good to actually enjoy, you shouldn't bitch up like this. Oh my god. But at the same time, he has a reputation to uphold. Probably he has some connections to some of those people who are connected to the same social messaging that people adhere to, who are actually connected to his employment. This is why he's trying to tone that down, because let's be real, a lot of Hollywood is like this. Unfortunately, the likes of him are not always appreciated, but they turn their heads to him if his work is good. This is why they've got to be very, extremely careful when it comes to handling very dirty rocks, which has a lot of good gem inside it. Okay? There's a talent of making people pleased with a movie or a book. If he's one of these people, Hollywood can either get rid of him because they don't want him changing the status quo of the movie industry, of the entertainment industry, or they have to regretfully keep the guy because he knows what he's doing. I think with how Hollywood is right now, I think it's always the former. I think they'd all try every reason to find a way. They'd find every way to get rid of people who might do good works but get sacked just because of their views. I hate that so much. This is why I stopped watching movies, especially after COVID, the COVID crisis. I stopped watching movies. Marvel was doing horribly. After that, it's just, no. Hollywood is just being distasteful to me now. That's why I stopped watching movies. It's becoming distasteful.
Pushback was too much for him to handle in the end, unfortunately. And Andy Weir's public apology to Alex Kurtzman reads as follows from Andy's own Facebook post, as you can see here. Open letter to Alex Kurtzman. Hey Alex, Andy Weir here. I'm posting to apologize about stuff I said on the Critical Drinkers podcast. I feel like my quotes were taken out of context as salacious sound bites. I hope you saw the other parts where I said how much I like you as a person and what a nice guy you are. I was trying to be funny, but in retrospect it comes off as disrespectful and mean, so I'm sorry for that. I was also trying to be self-deprecating when I said, but they didn't like my pitch, so F them, but out of context it can read like I actually meant it. I'm a blunt person, always have been. And it's been 10 years since the media cared about what I had to say about anything, so I kind of forgot my words when I have a film in theaters. And then blah 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 to have a phone call or a Zoom with him. And then he used a meme saying that he puts his own foot in his mouth. Yeah, it just comes off as backtracking to me. So yes, Andy went on Critical Drinkers podcast for a very simple reason, because he's a fan of the Critical Drinker. He also agrees that modern Hollywood is a cesspool of activists, which it is. But Andy is also a cog in the Hollywood machine to a certain degree too. So naturally, he fell back in place when the going got tough, which now just makes him come off a little defeated if you ask me. As the most relevant post on Andy's Facebook apology says there, his own fans are still disappointed despite him apologizing that he hung out at all with the Critical Drinker to begin with and claiming that Andy going on drink.
Engaging with the Critical Drinker was your first mistake. I'm sorry, unfortunately this is inevitable. Glad to hear from the horse's mouth. Ah, God. Of course you guys are going to say that.
With and claiming that Andy going on Drinker's channel was his first mistake because apparently aligning yourself with Drinker, that is bad to do. Which, yes, it's just ridiculous. This is why modern Hollywood, and by association, stuff like games and shows and comics and more, they are all over the place at the way that they are. Because everyone is scared to actually lead their own person in these industries. They don't know what to think or do until the monolith tells them what their identity will be for the foreseeable future. The only reason why people hate the Drinker is because they know he's right. I mean, if you write about Hollywood, then what's happening would not be happening the way that it is. Hollywood wouldn't be in the terrible position that they find themselves in currently, because in order to keep jobs when it comes to making movies, you kind of need good movies so people will go and watch them in theaters, right?
Exactly. You watch good movies, you maintain your audience. You don't make good movies, the audience stays away, or they just leave Hollywood entirely. There are always checks and balances, and Critical Drinker is just one of those checks and balances.
It's like a game as well. You see so many games journalists getting laid off from this website or another. Happens all the time. Yet the problem is always capitalism. And never once that the writers at these websites have weaponized their positions to attack their readers that are kind of their entire operations existing in the first place. This is why games flop, why studios close down, and games nobody cares for cease to exist, like a High Guard has, to name just one recent example. It never works to attack the audience is the point. And again, if Drinker was wrong, then what's happening would not be. So the Wall Street Journal even panicked recently how the amount of jobs available when it comes to Hollywood-aligned projects has staggeringly dropped off a cliff in the past 4 years or so alone. As you can see here from this graph they made to show, in 2021, there were 18,560 jobs in television in Los Angeles. By 2025, it was now down to just 6,582 available jobs. Feature films dropped from 3,406 to 1,999. Commercial jobs dropped off a cliff too, from 5,319 to just 2,742 available jobs. It does not take a genius to look at the absolute state of modern Hollywood in the heart of Los Angeles, California, and go, uh-oh, everything is getting worse. Even the New York Post couldn't swindle the story into positivity with their article titled, "Fears Grow of Detroit-Style Decline as Hollywood Jobs Evaporate."
Oh my God.
You may not know what that means. You see, Detroit is a place in America, and they used to be the hub for industrial work like making cars and such. But pretty much Detroit's administration just mismanaged the city's future with funds and horrible taxes and job cuts and more, that it all effectively led to a mass exodus of people like leaving Detroit for good for like cities and states in America. Detroit's kind of a ghost town now, so it's into consideration that's basically what's happening to modern Hollywood now. But instead of mismanaging funds, it's more Hollywood wants to keep pushing California activists speaking to everything under the sun, which in turn makes everything unwatchable. As seen here in New York Post's article, around 30% of all jobs in film and TV have effectively been erased already. This is for a myriad of reasons. Yes, it's taxes, yes, it's the use of AI and all that as well, but it's also because people are not paying to see most movies in theaters or watch TV shows these days either. The reason
It's because they're frustrated with how they are produced, with how they're made, okay? Basically, Hollywood is flopping repeatedly because they fail to check what is expected of movies by the audience. All they had to do was do their due research. They've got to do the actual research needed to check what people are thinking about. Instead of them just winging it, instead of them just forcing things down people's throats like they mean it, except Hollywood would just say, we don't care if you don't like this. We care that you actually just like things. And you are supposed to like our shit. Does this seem to be the most friendly tone that Hollywood has to give to you? No. Honestly, they're manipulative. They are leeches to your... They get into your head. Okay? That's what's bad about this.
Listening is many, right? The popcorn and the drink combo is too expensive. There's no way to sit with loud people in a movie theater who are on their phones 24/7. And generally speaking, the vast majority of movies that are being made are, like I said, politically bludgeoning tools instead of made for the sake of entertaining you. Naturally, this means that most people just don't go to the movies unless it's like a Spider-Man and Avengers or something like that level event now. I think the only other movie that I'm seeing in theaters this year besides Spider-Man or Avengers for me is probably the Michael Jackson biopic, I think. Besides that, the vast majority of movies that have came and went, I just kind of wait for streaming, honestly. If I them, honestly, that's not even guaranteed. Mostly because I can't watch most TV or movies these days, I gotta be honest. The propaganda is so belated, it just makes me nope out immediately. Like, I saw a few clips of that show, The Pit, and everyone's like, oh, it's amazing. Like, IGN gave it a 10 out of 10, if that matters. It all really doesn't, but anyways. And how in that Pit show, they were putting modern social commentary with, like, ice raids and stuff in it. I'd have to roll my eyes. No thanks. I'm not watching your savior complex show, even if you paid me to do it. And it's not because I don't care about those things or anything, but it's mostly because if I watch something, I want to be entertained, right? I want...
Yes, social commentary and politics, they way because they don't appreciate real world stuff. Their movies makes sense. It's supposed to be enjoyed.
Real escapism. There is no escapism in most modern entertainment. It's just avenues to preach, and I hate that with a passion. Again, if Drinker was wrong, then what's been happening wouldn't have happened, but it did actually. So what does that tell you? Hilariously, as seen here, where I highlighted, besides cost rising being a factor, Hollywood has another big problem, which is YouTube and TikTok especially. So people are just kind of watching stuff there instead, like you now obviously, instead of the next ideology simulator, this time with more...
Studios are also making fewer shows and movies as people turn to their small screens to watch sites like YouTube and TikTok. And whose fault is it? It's not YouTube and TikTok, it's also Hollywood.
Allegories to Nobody is a Legal and Stolen Land TV show, number 5,000 of the season or something. Instead, people are just watching stuff like or Drinker videos, or if you're like me, you watch cute dog videos daily, which I do because I love dogs. But the fact that websites might hate Drinker, or anyone who agrees with him, and people like Andy Weir, who went on his show, are now backpedaling the way that they are, not fully, but they are backpedaling still, it shows still where this sort of thing is at. The problem with what Drinker embodies, which is the counterculture of modern entertainment, is that you can't really prove that what he's saying is wrong. Media is worse, by definition now, than it was before. There's bright spots, sure, but generally speaking, it is still pretty bad. So since they can't prove someone like a critical drinker wrong in his opinions, well, they're just gonna smear him instead. Like Matt Dinneman, that's the author of a book called Dungeon Crawler Carl. I don't know what this book is, but anyways, as seen here, this Matt guy revoked his association with Drinker and claims that he wants to remove any part of Drinker's involvement in his success in the future.
Oh my god. Has choice words for the... I regret that my books have any association whatsoever with him. I hope one day to have his part in book 3 removed altogether. Shit, dude. Just because this guy likes social commentary and... Oh my god. This is all kinds of... I don't like friends. I don't like friends losing friends. It's just... We gotta stop with the talk of politics. It just ruins everyone's day. Okay? This is why my father told me. Don't get into politics. Don't even discuss it. It just ruins your mood. And I avoid it entirely in the general sense. Okay? From time to time it gets to conversation, but it's only in the minimal sense. I had mistakes before of talking about it way too much. And people had things to say about me. And so I had to shut up, and I just had to move on. And don't worry, my politics is not drastic, okay? It's not entirely drastic. I'm not exactly with the Philippine political system, no. I'm just one of the civilians, just watching things go. Just watching all the corruption happen and stuff, and then, yeah. Anyway, sure.
As above, this guy very eager to work with Drinker in order to use his audience for fame and money when he needed it. But as soon as he wanted to bring it to Hollywood proper, he suddenly denounces Drinker at the same time. Interesting, isn't it? What I find interesting as well is that whenever someone like a Drinker, a nerd rotting, it is mentioned in sort of articles, it's always the same exact pattern. It's never to confirm that their opinions or beliefs are right, even though they have accurately predicted which movies and such will fail and do well all.
I wish that authors and movie makers actually just contextualize the stances of people are instead of just dropping people just because they have opposite views. I hate it that only with your views do you get smashed away from work. You get fired, you get reassigned. It's only just because of your views. I hate that.
The time, but it's really always for one reason, which is character assassination. They're going to call someone like this controversial, toxic, or a grifter, yet they will never address the argument itself, because they know that if they did do that, it would lead to these types having to admit something very, very uncomfortable, which is that modern Hollywood actually in very serious trouble, whether they like it or not, because the people in Hollywood, they don't really want a conversation to be had. After all, they just gave one battle after another, which is a film all about legitimizing Hollywood as political talking points against those of the vast majority of Americans for a reason. That's why I got the award. All of this with the Andy Weir interview that the media hated. They hated it because it was two sides of the coin. The independent voice and Hollywood agreeing that entertainment is in a bad spot and needs to rediscover what makes it special before it's too late. But the thing is, I don't think Hollywood nor video games made in a Western sense even really want to fix their problems. Because to admit that the problems existed due to hubris or socio-political reasons, that is akin to death at this point. It's instead better in their mind to ignore it, double down on whatever you believe in, and continue making things that nobody wants to watch.
Double down on it. It's just an ugly way to even associate yourself with Hollywood the moment you find out their nature. I mean, come on.
Watch or buy.
That is just an ugly way to go. Either be with Hollywood or get wrecked for not being. And then when you actually start to snitch on Hollywood, they make you the bad guy just because you speak the truth. An ugly way to go.
Was it made for you anyways? Apparently, but that mystical modern audience instead that definitely never shows up anyways. But
I'm gonna come back in a bit. Okay? So bear with me. It's just to this point that all what's happening is purely just protecting your own bottom line, your own political, personal, it suits you. It is just so pathetic. It's how the heck it exists. Yeah, it definitely, unfortunately, still exists, and here we are. How the heck do we in America? It's hard to. Commentary and politics are interwoven into everything that you do, and anyone could criticize you just because of something that is did or out of some sort. It is just stressful. It's just to deal with. What you can just do is just be passive, and that's it. Just be passive, make a simple response, think nothing too much about it, and just let things be. It is still absolutely just stressful to me.
But the fact that this somehow became a scandal at all shows just how cooked this whole thing really is. And if you ask me, the outrage wasn't about what Andy Weir even said, nor was it about the interview. What the outrage was about is simple. It's all about control. Because with Drinker, Nerdrotic, anyone who really speaks up for people, whether it's in movies, games, or anything else, the reason why these people are hated is very simple. It's because they represent something that the modern entertainment machine really hates, which is that they are independent voices, that audiences actually trust. It's this
Dependence, basically. Hollywood just wants to control what the masses think, what the masses perceive, and it's only simply that. Yeah, I hate this so much.
same reason games journalists hate someone like me. Why whenever the usual type of game does poorly, these types always act puzzled as to how it why could happen. What do you mean High Guard shut down? How could Concord be gone? Why did no one play 1348X Vada the Lesbian Night Game? Oh, the horror. Because they don't realize that they refuse to tackle the issues head on. Instead, it's just, I have to be right even if I'm wrong, because to be wrong is worse than like death to me pretty much, which is stupid. And it's all because before Access Media across the board had everybody by the balls, the studios made the movies, or the publishers greenlighted the new video games to get made. Entertainment journalist ties would then tell audiences which movies or games were great with their review scores and whatnot. Audiences would then listen, because these were the voices that they trusted, and then the system would feed back into itself again and again. But since the whole internet thing happened and politics became far more important than fun, well, it all shifted. Now people would rather listen to a content creator who's unfiltered over a legacy outlet. Because an IGN or a Washington Post is going to be increasingly disconnected from the audience than a single person who has
Basically, a common sense person would just prioritize anything but politics, which is awesome. That's the kind of person you should be listening to in a world that is way too riddled with too much politics. Absolutely. Absolutely. People would actually come to the who is unfiltered, who has everything to say about how one thing is made and how one thing is protected, to the point that independent voices who call things out are being given backlash or being silenced forcefully just because they don't like what that independent voice says. It's just horrendous. It's just absolutely just horrendous. It just keeps happening like this. I hate it. I really just do hate it.
actual control over their own messaging and content. And it's that loss of influence that really terrifies them. And I mean, who can really blame them? They, Hollywood, want their own Drinker or erotic on their side, but it can't really happen. Because then they would have to not lie to their audiences, which is impossible by design for what they do. And I mean, look at the state of modern fast entertainment, right? There's constant reboots, there's endless sequels, and hundreds of millions of dollars that are all just being spent to produce stories that just kind of feel emptier than ever. Look at Man 2. I mean, the Insomniac game, not the Sam Raimi one. The Sam Raimi Spider-Man 2 is goated. But anyways, this, my dear viewers, what happens when corporate bureaucracy just kind of replaces real creative vision, when studios great storytelling. But instead, they're just kind of fixated on the algorithms that dictate what matters instead. Oh, we need brand management. We need risk mitigation nonsense. Don't forget about hitting those demographics. That's really important. But it's all complete nonsense. The end result is that movies and games that just kind of feel designed by committee instead of real passion.
Yeah, exactly. Designed by committee, no heart, no soul, and basically you only have a husk of what it's supposed to really stand up to be, but it is not what it is. And that sucks because people are looking for something real. And Hollywood produces what is fake, what is safe. They don't want to make risks. They want to save costs. And so they lie to people to make sure that the bottom line of Hollywood, their bottom line, not anyone else's. I hate that so much. I really do.
It's all safe, predictable slop that is endlessly hollow, and their emotions are surface level. No wonder people are walking away. But this is why the criticism from independent creators is more akin to heresy, because even me, right, I'm noticing the patterns too. I tell you guys when I see a pattern in a game, oh, it has diverse characters, there's a girl boss, yeah, there's the ugly haircut, yeah, it's all patterns. And it's a systemic that is devouring these industries whole because everybody is too afraid to challenge it. And because they refuse to acknowledge it, that's where the rot sets in. And that's also why so many people hate the critical drinker and others, I guess, because they at least see things for what they are instead of what they're trying to make.
Yes, you gotta see things for the context that it is. The context, the object, you gotta be objective to find out what is real. Otherwise, you'll really just be passive and you'll just accept everything that you see, which is basically it makes someone like me keep accepting what is a falsehood. Do research. Do little you times to find if you're crazy or not, and you can relieve yourself of the insanity that you're seeing.
themselves out to be, if that makes sense. And the reason why none of these websites or whatever want a drinker to have attention is because it would require them to acknowledge that audiences may actually have a point, which these sites have operated on for years, thinking that audiences are just stupid when they're not. But the irony of this all is almost too perfect, because the more outrage is brought by the mere existence of someone like a drinker, the more attention they're just going to bring to him, which will just lead to more people seeing the patterns, and Hollywood will collapse even more. And the more you can accurately pick out and understand which Hollywood or game releases are going to be another bloated creative bank or a mess, these warnings stop sounding like criticisms to you and more like predictions. And in the end, what this leads to is the slow collapse of an entire cultural machine that has forgotten why audiences fell in love with movies, games, TV, or whatever else in the first place, right? They traded real creativity for messaging, characters mattered less than ideology, and branding matters more than storytelling now. And audiences can only respond one way that really matters and speaks to these people, which is just to walk away entirely. And that is why voices like this need to be destroyed, even though they won't. Because when you have these industries all drowning and trying to create some carefully managed narrative, it just leaves people starved for actual honesty. And the more Hollywood or the games industry tries to silence that honesty, the louder that it's going to become. And they are realizing now that they could have had their power over audiences to this day, but they chose to lie to them instead, and that's on them. And because of that, Hollywood, the games industry, all of them and more, they have to live with the failure of knowing their actions led to the creation of the critical drinker, Erotic, Yellow Flash, and many, many more. And even though they know it's their fault, they're never going to admit it anyways. Oh well, we'll just keep on winning, I guess. But what do you think? Let me know. Is the media right about Drinker or not? Subscribe if you'd like to. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.
I love it. I love it, Ted and Demian. I really have no words to say other than thank you. And I have got to be very real with you guys. I did say that I did stop watching movies, but I give some a chance because they're fun. I got skepticism as to the makings of. I'm not entirely a movie commenter or a TV commenter to the point that I have to hyper-analyze everything. It's either I enjoy or it's either I don't. And then I see what's wrong and see what's nice about these types of movies or TV shows. Basically, if I give an opinion, it should matter. If I'm not an influencer, it should matter. If people do come to an influencer and that influencer influences the makers of the films, does that matter? If the influencer would prove to be eventually pro-establishment of Hollywood rather than someone for the people, it would only matter to boost the bottom line of Hollywood. That's it. And there are those who like to protect Hollywood, and they would actually profit from it. They would profit from it. It's already disgusting enough that this is happening. So there are content creators on both sides, the likes of Critical Drinker, Nerdrotic, and Yellow Flash, and others who are too protective of Hollywood that I do not even want to mention them. I like to be very honest about this. The way movies are being produced right now, I hope that in the near future, they get all their senses back. They fire all the rich influencers who are just saying things to pander to a minority audience. And I hope that they actually come out scarred whenever they're fired from the movie, TV, or gaming industry for actually misleading people. I just hope that actually happens. It's just, I'm only hoping. I'm not saying it would have got to learn hard from this. Otherwise, the industry that we know we enjoy, the entertainment industry, it's out. And it's going to die out tasteless and discarded. And we don't want that, do we? You want to check out more videos from me, hit subscribe, like this video, check out their socials. You can scan the QRs that are actually appearing on the upper right side of your screen right now. Those are the QR codes, cycling all range, shuffle. You can go back to previous ones you haven't actually seen. Make sure to actually follow me, and let's get to 1,500 YouTube subscriptions. We are on our way, baby. We are definitely on our way.